Hi, my name's Bill MacPhee, and I'm the CEO of MacPhee Media Inc., your partner in mental wellness. Today we had a two-part question, and I'm answering the second part of the question. Bill asked about medication and its sedation versus stimulation, and he's asking how you find a balance. I wanted to take this opportunity to explain a little bit about the history of medication. Medication has been around since the 1950s, the early development in the 50s. And what happened is how they started to find out about antipsychotic medication was basically by accident. Years ago, people with mental illness used to be placed in institutions by the thousands. There's literally institutions called insane asylums that actually housed thousands of people, and people would enter into the institution and never get out. However, during the daily routines of in these institutions, people would come down with physical illnesses. Say people had needed their appendix out, and they would go in for an operation. So what they noticed is that they would give them, they would put them under, and do these operations for um, your appendix and things like that. And what they noticed as patients came out of the operating room, they their symptoms of paranoia, their symptoms of positive symptoms, the antipsychotic symptoms, the psychotic symptoms went away. They noticed an improvement in psychotic symptoms after surgery. So this led them to believe that there had to be some kind of connection with medication, with the sedation medication, and and psychosis. So what happened, what you have from the 50s all the way to basically the early 90s, is all the medications that were developed in the tranquilizing family. That's why many times, not so much now, but many times in the past, pre 1994, is that people would see people who were on medication, and people would actually look like zombies. They'd be walking around in slow motion and not very alert. They'd be zombies because all the medication that they were giving were from the tranquilizing families. As I mentioned, since then, since 1994, we've had newer medications or a second generation of medications that don't act that in the tranquilizing family. They act on different receptors in the brain and different systems, targeting more focused on dopamine and serotonin. Now, the future of medications, which is, as we can eventually will get into third generations of antipsychotic medications, and these medications in the future will be more directed to be cleaner medications. We kind of look at, there's kind of a saying with medications is that this is a clean medication and this is a dirty medication. And what's meant by clean and dirty is that they have less side effects. So if somebody says, well, this is a pretty clean medication, it means it has less side effects. Or if somebody says, well, this is a dirtier medication, it's from basically it's more broad and it has more side effects. So those are some of the issues with medication. But again, in the future, we're going to have more targeted medication that we may even have a blood test for schizophrenia, which they are working on now. So if you can test it in the blood, and then perhaps maybe through genetics and more research, we can find what's happening easier with people's medication. Just to give you an example, just this last week, I got my injection. I'm on an injectable. I got my injection of medication. I go every 4 weeks for my injection. However, then on Saturday, I was very lethargic. I was very tired from my medication, and I had like a 3 hour nap on Saturday afternoon. That was doesn't always affect me that way, but sometimes it does. But that's kind of a side effect from my injectable, is that it's a little bit of sedation. So those, hopefully, Bill, I answered your question on medications and stimulation or sedation. So tune in. If you have a question for me, just email me at bmcphee@magpiemags.com. Thank you.